Welcome to the Prophecy Club. If you were to ask me, Stan, out of almost 29 years of doing Prophecy Club, right now, right today, what's the most important thing that you would probably need to talk about? And of course, that is other than the blood of Jesus. I would say what we're going to talk about today, and that is the death of the dollar, because the death of the dollar is causing all the other problems. So, yeah, there's food shortage. Yeah, there's a lot of other problems, but at the end of the day, it's the death of the dollar. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And yes, some of it is repeat, but sometimes I think we need to just hear it again, kind of let it sink in. But what I'm going to ask you to do today is listen with your heart. In other words, sometimes, and I do this too, sometimes I think about all this end time stuff with my head because I'm afraid to let it go to my heart. If I let it go to my heart, then I can get upset, I can get down, depressed. But our heart, my brothers and sisters, is where we get prepared for it. So today I'm going to ask you to listen with your heart. And I'm going to ask yourself this. Am I prepared for what is coming? And yeah. We're going to talk about some physical preparations, but I'm talking about also spiritually and emotionally. Are we really ready for what's about to hit? Or are we going to be like the rest of the people running around with chicken head, like a chicken with head cut off, biting our nails, chicken little, and scared to death? So today, hopefully, we can say, all right, emotionally, I'm ready for this. Okay, so let's get to it here. I've talked about this several times, and this is going to be probably for the next long time the primary thing we need to talk about. Now, since I've already covered it in detail, I'm just going to give you the overview. Essentially, March 25th of 2022, Chris Reed had a dream, and I believe it's of God. I believe that an angel came to him and directed this information to him. So the angel stood before him and took a $50 bill. I think that represents the 50 states of the United States, and tore off a third of it. I think that's representing that the dollar will immediately and almost overnight, with no warning, lose 30% of its value. And that may be days or weeks away, not months away. Then he sees that the dollar drops. People begin handing him newspapers, kind of like they did with Leslie and kind of like they have also done with some other people. The U.S. dollar drops 30% in value. Why? The subtitle is Middle Eastern Oil Strikes Deal with China instead of the U.S., which happened in the first leg of it was August 24th, 2021. But then just last week, there was another article saying that they're now doing business in the yuan. So take it to the bank. Dollar's about to fall. Then perfect storm. Inflation reaches a new high. We've seen inflation going up roughly 30% so far in the things we've seen. I'm going to show you in just a second. Then we see food shortage, specifically wheat, and it's having to do with no imports coming in. Well, Russia and Ukraine, big wheat exporters, are not exporting their grains anymore. So we can see that's, we want to say on the horizon. I don't think it's on the horizon. I think it's at the end of the block. It might be at the driveway. Then the angel stood up before him again and took a $50 bill, then tore it in half, meaning that the dollar will then go to 50% value. What happens then? Riots, civil unrest, and entitlement checks. So apparently these free checks from the government will stop. That causes lots of problems. Try to imagine how many people will get angry if their little government checks or big government checks stop coming. Then he felt an earthquake under him, meaning that when Americans get so mad and get angry, that is apparently also when we split Israel, and then we split Israel and God splits America. So then let's skip down to 7. Then 7 is he saw America in pieces. The headline was more states secede from the nation in rebellion to the federal government, meaning united we stand, divided we fall happens, and America starts to fall because we are divided. Then the next one is basically talking about the internal revolution that Dimitri talked about. Then he saw what we're talking, and if I get time, I can talk about this. He saw the new quantum financial system coming into place. He saw a cell phone. Ta-da! I'm telling you right here, this is your new money, and your cell phone is not your friend. He saw a cell phone that was a dollar bill. He said he saw George Washington's face on it, and the headline in the newspaper was "A new currency for a new renewed nation." Now, with that as a background, so first look at some of the prophecies where the dollar will fall 30% overnight. Meaning, question, are you ready if all of a sudden your income was cut by 30%, because that's essentially what happens? Income cut by 30%, or things get 30% more expensive, same thing. Are we ready for that? Do you have medication? Do you have your prescriptions ready to go where you might have to, store it up as much as you can. They won't give you too many prescriptions in advance these days. Again, it's all controlled. Dollar will fall 30% overnight. Now remember, Maurice Sklar was told that the American dollar is about to lose 30% more. It'll be then eventually go to half, and eventually it will just be worthless. Many people lose their, and they all say overnight, by the way. There's none of them say it's a gradual thing. And if we look at the signs, I would say that overnight, again, is not on the horizon. It's at the end of the block. Then he saw a great revival. All right, now let's move along. David Phillips said he saw crackers being sold for $1,000 a cracker. That's pretty expensive. He said the most important thing people were looking for was non-refrigerated, non-perishable foods. Then he also had another dream where everything was getting expensive. You can read it. But then, here's the key. They were told to stand up, gather your things, and walk out right now. In other words, it's another thing that when you see things beginning to go up in costs, then overnight, instantly, immediately, the dollar falls by 30%. But then he was told, everyone stand up and walk out, and they announced that they would be closed for 6 months. Now, it keeps bothering me about this 6 months thing. It keeps coming to my spirit. And what keeps bothering me about this part of that 6 months is that saying that restaurants and maybe banks and maybe all of the businesses are closed, maybe because there's another big bug released and there's big lockdowns where they're really, really harsh, where, some $10,000 if you caught outside of your house. That's what keeps coming to me. That's what bugs me about this part. And this David Phillips, personal friend. He works for Prophecy Club. Been working for Prophecy Club for 8 years. And I do not know of a prophecy he has missed or a dream. He's given some very specific ones for me personally, and they have been accurate. So you can count on this one. 6 months. Question. Are you ready to stay in your house? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, food-wise, water-wise. Are you ready to stay in your house for 6 months? Then Bonnie Jones heard the audible voice of God say, there's going to be a downfall of the economy. Purchase non-perishable foods. Now, of course, Joseph Kitchen, the way we prepare the wheat, we don't send it out in paper bags that can rip and mice get into it and absorb moisture and go bad. We send it out in big plastic pails, 7-gallon pails, 50 pounds each. And it's nitrogen packed. We can't guarantee that it's good for 25 years, but probably is. At least you don't have to worry about the mice and rats smelling it. Now, a rat can eat through metal, but probably it wouldn't bother it. Then Leslie had a dream. People are in an amusement park, and that's the way America is even to this day. Most people, you say, how you doing? I'm living the dream, having a good time. That's their attitude. What she saw is people in this amusement park all of a sudden got very hungry and had to leave, and they were barefoot, and they were all looking for food, begging for even one piece of bread. Now, she said this back in 2021 before I ever got into wheat and bread and all that sort of stuff. I believe it was God talking. And also Coverstone was told that God is going to provide the bread for his people. I believe that's why he started Joseph Kitchen, to provide bread. It is the cheapest way to eat. It's famine food. Let's go on. This one says, I highly advise you to put half of your future crypto gains into physical silver and gold. And if you're thinking about getting silver and gold, while I can't tell you to, I can't give financial advice. I'm not a certified financial advisor. I can tell you I have some. I have a little bit of gold, but most of what I have is in silver. Why? Because I believe the prophets. I believe Shane Warren was hearing from God when he heard the audible voice of God say silver will skyrocket far more than gold. I also love Cornerstone because these are Christians, and they love prophecy students. They love Prophecy Club because you folks call and you have your eyes open, your ears on. You know what's going on, and they don't have to inform you. They don't have to teach you anything. When you call, all they have to do is just help you with. They help you with your 401ks, I understand, help you to get in gold and silver, backed with your 401ks. Call them. Okay, now let's talk about the dollar is going down by 50%. Yes, we have some prophecies about that too. Earthquake splits America. According to what Chris Reed said, it seems like when the dollar hits 50% and the people start protesting, that's when the earthquake splits America. And you remember Coverstone said that many of you will soon be with me. Yeah, a big earthquake down the center of the country would kill potentially millions of Americans. Let's go on. So we've covered this many times. Essentially, 2010, Pastor Warren had this vision, and he saw that there was a great financial storm. That's number one. After the financial storm, there's an earthquake. But the financial storm causes people to get rioting, and I think when people start rioting and then they split Israel, and he actually heard a voice, they divided my land, and I divide their land. So the earthquake is directly tied to whether we split Israel or not, which is why you might want to consider becoming one of the Fast Track members. Go to prophecyclub.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, sign up to become a Fast Track member, where we fast and pray once every week, specifically for Prophecy Club ministry to be able to do what God has called it to do. I never send product offers, ask for donations, and you can quit anytime you want to. But that's one of the things we're praying for right now, is that America would not split Israel and we would not be divided as a nation. Then he saw specifically the thing that kills the dollar was when they started, specifically Saudis or the Middle East, start selling oil in something other than the dollar, which started August 24th, 2021. And then just last week, there was another article specifically saying that Saudis signed a deal with China to start selling it in the yen. And then after that, he saw them having riots with the word entitlements, which is exactly what Chris Reed said. So all of this is lining up. And apparently, again, this is not over the horizon anymore. It's at the end of the block. Here it is, August 24th. This is announcing the agreement that Saudi and Russians had now made an agreement that Russia is going to protect the Saudis rather than the United States. And so consequently, they don't have to sell their crude oil in dollars anymore. Now, let's look at the prophecy which says dollars down by 66%. This is Coverstone 2020. I saw a $100 bill, the size of a flag, hanging on a flagpole, burning on one corner, lowered like a flag is lowered at the end of the day, and the dollar had lost its value, and it burned until only about a third of it was left. That's 66%, right? So it's down 66%. The value of the American dollar was dying. I heard someone playing taps. Now let's look at the prophecy that says the dollar goes to zero, to worthless. Coverstone again. He said, I saw a vacuum cleaner pulling the dollars out of the banks, just like a vacuum, just gone. All right. Then Charles Turner says he had a vision. I saw cash dropping into an abyss. There was no end to it. Cash disappearing into darkness. The numbers are coming off of the dollars. He was made to know that the dollar is going away in a cashless system of digital numbers. He actually heard the Lord say digital. I'm telling you, right here's digital. Right here's this is your new cash. Not this cell phone, a future cell phone. And I said the cash is fading away and digital is coming in as new domain. Then Coverstone again. He saw people like food vendors there trading and bartering. Why? Because there was no dollar. In other words, the dollar is worthless now. He said he saw there were no vehicles on the roads. That might be because the suitcase nukes went off. We're praying drastically and desperately that those suitcase nukes do not go off. Then Doug Metzger, one of our speakers we had years ago, had 3 dreams, or actually visions. And he says he saw that America's collapse would start financially. Well, we are now in it, okay? And the meaning was as if the cost, what used to be $1, now had gone up to $10.50, meaning here's a picture of the dollar going down by 90%. 90%. Then Daniel Davis had a very important dream, and he said, I was at a gas station. It was a high fence, barbed wire, and with tractors and power equipment, lawnmowers behind the fence. Frantic people were trying to buy gas. An SUV pulled up. Father said, I need a full tank of gas. Manager said, well, I don't take U.S. dollars. What do you take? Well, what do you have? And so the manager looked through his belongings, basically took whatever he wanted to give the man a tank of gas, meaning dollar is dead. Then another part of the dream said, I was standing what seemed to be like the downtown Dallas area, along with multitudes of people, everyone standing waiting for an announcement. Everything is a standstill. All the people are calm. I noticed big screens up on many of the large buildings. A man who looked like a government official stepped up and says, ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. The United States, as you have known it, has ceased to exist. All property lines have been dissolved. That means that they've taken the wealth of the world and divided that up into the digital currencies that they have. And so now the wealth of the world is now the new collateral for the new financial system, the quantum financial system. That's why all property lines are dissolved. And the U.S. dollar is worthless. So at this point, legally and literally, the dollar is gone. It's gone. Just like the prophecies are saying, it's going to be a digital system coming next. Headline, Russian central bank chief says alternative to SWIFT system is already in place. Well, the SWIFT system is the financial system that we've had in place for, for sure since World War II. But these Moloch and Baal worshippers has controlled our financial system, at least going back 300 years that we know of, truth be told, probably back to the pharaohs. But it is definitely gone. That's what it's saying. Gone. It is now in place. The SWIFT system is gone. Meaning, and that's the reason the Russian government is switching to a new digital currency, and it is gold-backed. Visa, MasterCard stopping all Russian transactions. This happened a month or so ago. Why? Russia's not worried about it because they've now got their ruble backed with gold. Boom, Russia returns to the gold standard for its currency. Here is the proof. In other words, the entire financial system of the world is going away. Actually, what it's saying is it's actually gone. They just haven't announced it on Fox News yet. Ukraine is quietly unveiling a digital currency and social credit system. It's not just Ukraine, but Ukraine is the homeland of the Moloch and Baal worshippers, the people that own and control the world. And I know you think Ukraine, but that's their homeland. Brazil on track to roll out a digital currency. How many times we have to be told digital? It's all going digital. It's all going based upon the cell phone, just like I put in my book, Miss the Mark, 2 years ago. Digital dollar, digital pound. Where is USK thinking on digital currencies sits in the world? So we're moving to digital. Benjamin Fulford, plug gets pulled on Khazarian Mafia. That's the Moloch and Baal worshippers. See, Khazarian comes from Kazakhstan, which is at one time part of the Ukraine area. Plug gets pulled on Khazarian Mafia fraudulent financial system, meaning the old SWIFT system, bye-bye, it's gone. Now we're coming into an interim system where there's going to be a lot of problems as we move into the new world, and he causeth all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, receive a mark on the right hand of the forehead, and that no man might buy or sell. This is the no man might buy or sell system. This is telling you all about it. Food, hyperinflation begins in Germany and riots, and it's coming to a neighborhood near you. All of these are all talking about food problems. No soup for you. Russia will only export food and fertilizer to friendly nations. And, of course, when we've got Americans over there in Ukraine fighting on behalf of Ukraine, as a matter of fact, one report said actually the Americans are in charge of all of this going on in Ukraine, fighting against the Russia. So while America is not directly at war with Russia, indirectly we are. Matter of fact, I might say indirectly we've been at war with Russia since World War II concluded, maybe even before then. Global uprising begins, fiat currencies meltdown, while food and fuel inflation unleashes sudden poverty for billions will soon face worldwide famine. Russia urges allies to dump the dollar and euro in trade. If we are looking at what is being said here, we will be prepared. And prepared, I think that means you need to have a good water filter. You need to have some water. You need to have some silver and gold, cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Probably want to have an EMP shield device. Promo code there is prophecy. And you want to have some food, josephskitchen.com.